I am 89 years old. For 51 years, I stood inside operating rooms with a scalpel in my hand and someone's child on the table in front of me. I saved 4,000 lives. 4,000. I have letters from families I will never meet again. Letters that say, "You gave us our father back." Letters that say, "Because of you, my daughter walked at her own wedding." I kept every single one of them. They're in a box, in the corner of a room, in a house that feels very empty now, because the one person I could not save was my own son. I am not telling you this for sympathy. I am telling you this because you are making the same mistake I made. Right now, today, this very moment, you are making it, and unlike my patients, no one is going to open your skull and fix what is broken inside. No surgery exists for what I am about to describe. I was the best in my field. I knew the name of every nerve inside the human brain. I could operate for 14 hours without stopping. I trained 200 surgeons across 3 continents. But I did not know, I truly did not know, that while I was saving strangers, I was losing my son. Not to an accident, not to an illness, to something far worse. To me, to my absence, to the version of me that always believed there was more time. I thought I had time. After this surgery, I told myself, after this conference, after this year, I was wrong. And by the time I understood what I had done, what I had not done, my son was 41 years old, sitting across from me at a dinner table, and he looked at me like I was a stranger, because to him, I was. The greatest minds in medicine surrounded me my entire career, but not one of them ever taught me this, that a man can save 4,000 lives and still die with his greatest failure sitting quietly in his chest, that you can be celebrated by the world and invisible to your own child. I thought I had time. Later never came. Would you like me to generate phase 2, the personal story deep dive, where I go deeper into the specific moments, the missed birthdays, the turning points, and the hidden cracks beneath all that success? My son's name is Daniel. He was born on a Tuesday morning in October. I remember the exact time, 6:42 a.m., because I had just finished a 7-hour emergency surgery when the nurse handed me the phone. My wife was crying. Happy tears, she said. I told her I would be there in 1 hour. It took me 4, and when I finally walked into that hospital room and held him for the first time, this tiny, quiet, perfect thing, I made him a silent promise. I will give you everything. I meant it. I believed it completely. I just did not understand then what everything actually meant. I grew up with nothing. My father was a laborer. My mother cleaned other people's homes. We had 1 pair of shoes each. Sometimes we shared those. So when I became a brain surgeon, when I wore a white coat and people stood up when I entered a room, I told myself that my son would never know what shortage felt like. He would have the best schools, the best clothes, the best of everything money could touch. And he did. He had all of it. What he did not have was a father who came home for dinner, a father who knew the name of his best friend, a father who watched him fail at something and stayed in the room anyway. I missed his first steps. I was in Geneva. My wife recorded them on a small camera. I watched the video 3 weeks later on a plane to Tokyo. I smiled. I felt proud. I did not feel what I should have felt, which was the sharp, quiet pain of a moment that was already gone forever. I thought I had time. I thought there would be other firsts. There were. I missed most of those too. Daniel was a sensitive child. He used to draw these detailed pictures of buildings, towers, bridges, impossible structures. He wanted to be an architect. He would slide drawings under my office door at home. I would find them in the morning, sometimes days later. I would look at them, nod, set them on the desk. I never once sat down with him and asked, "Tell me about this one. What is this building for? Who lives here?" I never asked, because I was always preparing for the next surgery, always reading, always studying, always saving someone else's child. He stopped sliding drawings under the door when he was around 11. I did not notice for a long time. When I finally did, when I stood in my office one evening and realized the floor had been empty for months, I told myself he had simply grown out of it. Children change, I thought. That is normal. I was wrong. He had not grown out of it. He had simply stopped believing that I would notice, There is a particular kind of pain that does not arrive immediately. It builds, slowly, quietly, the way water fills a room with no windows. Daniel grew up. He became a man. Polite, successful, distant. At family gatherings, he would hug me the way you hug someone you have just met. Firmly, briefly, no warmth left in it. My colleagues would tell me, "You must be so proud of your son." I am, but pride is not the same as closeness. And I had built an ocean between us, one missed moment at a time, and called it providing for my family. I thought I had time. I told myself the distance was temporary. I told myself that when I retired, when things slowed down, when the world finally stopped needing me so urgently, we would fix it. We would sit down, talk properly, rebuild. Later, I told myself, later never came. Not the way I imagined it. I retired at 81, 8 years ago. I remember the last surgery, clearly. A 34-year-old woman, tumor pressing against her frontal lobe, technically complex. 7 hours on my feet. She survived. Her husband was waiting outside. When I walked through those doors and told him, "She is going to be fine," he collapsed into my arms and wept like a child. I held him. I patted his back. I told him, "She will be home soon. You have more time together. Use it well." I said those exact words. Use it well. And then I drove home alone to a quiet house, and I sat in my chair by the window. And for the first time in 51 years, with no surgery tomorrow, no conference next week, no resident waiting for my instruction, I sat in complete silence, and the silence was enormous. Daniel came to visit me 3 weeks after I retired. He drove 4 hours to see me. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the beginning. Now we build what we should have built 30 years ago. We sat at the kitchen table. I made tea. I asked him about his work, his home, his daughter, my granddaughter, who was 7 at the time. He answered everything, politely, correctly, the way you answer a doctor's questions in a waiting room. And then there was a pause, a long one. And Daniel looked down at his cup and said, "Dad, can I ask you something honest?" I said, "Yes." He looked up at me and he said, "Did you ever actually miss us when you were away? Did you ever sit somewhere and think, I wish I was home right now?" The room became very still. I opened my mouth. I wanted to say, of course I did, every single day, but something stopped me. Something old and honest rose up from somewhere deep, and it would not let me lie to him. Not this time. Not anymore. The truth was, no, not often. When I was inside an operating room, I was completely, entirely, totally there. The work consumed me the way fire consumes paper. Totally, instantly, without remainder. My family did not enter my mind during surgery, not because I did not love them, but because I had spent 50 years training myself to remove all feeling from that room, and somewhere along the way, I had forgotten to put the feeling back. When I left the hospital, I was already thinking about the next case, the next problem, the next life that needed saving. Home was the place I slept. My wife was the person who kept everything running. My son was, I am ashamed to say this, background. I told Daniel the truth. I told him not always, not the way I should have. He nodded slowly. He was not angry. That was almost worse. He had moved past anger a long time ago. What was left was something quieter and more permanent. Acceptance. He had accepted, somewhere in his childhood, that this was simply who his father was, and he had built his life around that absence, the way a tree grows around a fence post, working with it, because it was not going anywhere. I felt something crack inside my chest that afternoon. Not my heart. I am a surgeon. I understand the heart is a muscle. It does not crack, but something cracked. Something that had been held tightly in place for decades suddenly gave way, and I understood fully, completely, for the first time, that I had made a choice. Every single day for 50 years, I had made a choice, and I had told myself it was not a choice. I had told myself it was necessity, duty, destiny. I was wrong. It was a choice, and my son had lived inside the consequences of that choice his entire life without ever being asked if he was okay with it. I am 89 years old. I have held the brains of 4,000 people in my hands. I understood the most complex organ in the human body, and I did not understand my own son. I did not understand that silence from a child is not peace. It is surrender. I thought I had time. I was wrong. Later never came. And that afternoon, sitting across from my son in my quiet kitchen, I finally stopped lying to myself. I want to tell you something that took me 89 years to understand, something no medical school teaches, something no career prepares you for, something that the most successful people in the world learn too late, or never at all. Are you ready? Presence is not the same as being there. I was physically present in my home for thousands of evenings. I sat at that dinner table. I slept in that house. I attended birthdays, graduations, holidays. My body was there, but I was not there. My mind was always somewhere else, running through tomorrow's surgery, replaying today's decisions, planning, preparing, optimizing. And my family learned, without anyone saying a single word, that although my chair was filled, the seat was empty. We have been told a lie, a very convincing, very dangerous lie. The lie sounds like this: work hard now, sacrifice now, suffer now, and later you will enjoy the reward. Later you will rest. Later you will be present. Later you will give them the time they deserve. I believe this lie completely. I built my entire life on top of it. And here is what no one tells you about later. Later is not a place you arrive at. Later is a story you tell yourself while the present disappears. Later never came. It never comes. It is always arriving, never here. I have watched colleagues retire and reach for their families and find that the families had quietly learned to live without them, not out of cruelty, out of survival. Children are extraordinarily adaptable. They will wait for you for a while. They will knock on your office door. They will slide drawings underneath it. They will sit at the dinner table and try to catch your eyes. And when none of that works, they will stop. They will adapt. They will build a life that does not depend on your presence. And they will love you. They will always love you, but from a safe distance. Because closeness to them became associated with disappointment. And people, even children, especially children, eventually stop reaching for things that are never there. I used to believe that providing was the same as loving, that working was the same as caring, that financial security was the most important gift a father could give. I was wrong. I was so deeply, completely wrong. Your child does not need your money. They need your eyes. They need you to look at them fully, completely, with nothing else in your mind, and see them, not their grades, not their future, not their potential, them, the child sitting right in front of you, messy, unfinished, uncertain, reaching for your attention the way a plant reaches for light. That is all they need, and it costs nothing. It requires no degree, no talent, no money, only presence. And somehow, that is the thing we most often refuse to give. Let me tell you about false beliefs, because you carry them too. I can feel it. False belief number 1, I will make up for lost time later. No, you will not. Time does not work that way. You cannot return to a Tuesday in October 1987 and hold your newborn son for an extra hour. That Tuesday is gone. Every Tuesday since then is gone. You can only work with now, only now. False belief number 2, they understand. They know I love them. Maybe they do. But understanding something mentally and feeling it emotionally are two completely different experiences. Your child can know you love them and still feel alone in your presence. Both things are true at the same time. Knowing is not the same as feeling. False belief number 3, my work is important. What I do matters. Yes, it does. Your work matters. But let me ask you something I wish someone had asked me at 35 years old. Matters to whom? Because the people you work so hard to provide for, they do not want the results of your work. They want you. They want the version of you that existed before the work consumed everything else. They are still waiting for that person. The question is whether you will arrive before it is too late. I saved 4,000 lives. 4,000. And I am proud of that. I will carry that pride with me until I take my last breath. But here is the truth that sits beside that pride. Every one of those 4,000 people went home to someone. And that someone, a wife, a husband, a child, a parent, they were the ones who stayed up through the night. They were the ones who cried in hospital corridors. They were the ones whose world would have ended if I had failed. I understood that. I felt the weight of that responsibility every single day. But I never once turned that understanding around. I never looked at my own home and asked, who is staying up for Daniel? Whose world depends on whether I truly show up tonight? I never asked, because I assumed the answer was obvious. I was wrong. The answer was not obvious. The answer was Daniel, sitting in his room, drawing buildings no one ever asked him about, waiting for a father who was always almost home. This is not just my story. This is the story of millions of men and women who confused achievement with living, who built impressive lives and hollow homes, who arrived at the end with full trophy shelves and empty relationships, who were loved, genuinely loved, by people who had simply given up on being close to them. Don't make my mistake. I thought I had time. I was wrong. Later never came. And the most decorated, most celebrated, most accomplished version of yourself means absolutely nothing if the people who needed you most learn to live without you. I am 89 years old. I do not have many mornings left. I know that the way I once knew when a surgery was reaching its final moments, a quiet certainty, settling into the bones, impossible to ignore. And so I am using what time remains to tell you something. Not as a surgeon, not as a professional, as a man who has lived a full life and arrived at the end of it, holding the wrong things. I want you to stop, right now, whatever you are doing, whatever you are planning, whatever deadline is pressing against you today. Stop and ask yourself one honest question. When did I last look at the people I love fully, completely, with nothing else competing for my attention, and simply be there, not halfway there, not there in body, but somewhere else in mind. There, completely, quietly, without your phone, without tomorrow, without the weight of everything unfinished. When was the last time? Because here is what I know now that I did not know at 40, or 50, or 60. The people in your home, they are not waiting for you to finish. They are not waiting for the project to end. They are not waiting for the promotion, the retirement, the right moment, the slower season. They are living right now. Their life is happening at this exact moment. And every moment you are not present is a moment that belongs to someone else, a screen, a meeting, a distraction, a version of you that does not actually exist yet. The future you who will finally have time. That version of you is a ghost. It has never arrived. It never will. Your children are not going to be this age tomorrow. I need you to hear that. Really hear it. The child who is 7 today will be 11 before you feel the time pass. And then 17. And then they will be sitting across from you at a kitchen table, polite, distant, careful, asking you a question you will not know how to answer honestly. And you will sit there, the way I sat there, with all your accomplishments behind you, and nothing to say that repairs the distance between you. Do not wait for that moment. Do not make my mistake. I am not angry at myself anymore. I spent several years in anger, then grief, then something quieter than both. What I feel now is simply clarity, the brutal, clean, unforgiving clarity that only comes when there is no time left to be anything other than honest. And from that place of clarity, I am telling you, nothing you are chasing is worth what you are leaving behind. Not the title, not the money, not the recognition, not the legacy, none of it. Because legacy is not what is written about you when you are gone. Legacy is what your child feels when they think of you. Legacy is whether your name, in the minds of the people who needed you most, carries warmth or distance. That is the only legacy that matters. And you are building it right now, with every choice you make today. Daniel and I are better now. I want you to know that. It is not what it could have been. It will never be what it could have been. That is the honest truth, and I will not dress it up for comfort. but we talk now properly. He brings my granddaughter to visit. She sits on my lap and tells me about her drawings, buildings, towers, bridges, just like her father. And I ask her, tell me about this one. What is this building for? Who lives here? And she tells me, and I listen completely, with nothing else in my mind. It is the most important thing I have ever done. It took me 86 years to learn how to do it. I saved 4,000 lives, and I am grateful. I am deeply, genuinely grateful that I had the ability, the training, the hands, the mind to give 4,000 people more time with their families, more time with their children, more time to sit at kitchen tables and look across at the people they love. I gave them more time, and then I went home and wasted mine. So this is my final message, not from a surgeon, from a father, from an old man sitting in a quiet house with a box of letters in the corner and a heart that finally, after all these years, knows exactly what mattered. Go home, not later. Now, put the phone down. Not after this video. Now. Look at them. Not a glance, not a distracted half smile. Look at them the way you would look at them if you knew, truly knew, that time was running out. Because it is. It always was. You just could not feel it yet. I can feel it now. And I am telling you, the operating room will find another surgeon. The office will find another employee. The world will continue without your contribution for one evening. But your child only gets one father. Your partner only gets one life alongside yours, and they are spending that life right now. The question is whether you are spending it with them. I thought I had time. I was wrong. Later never came. Don't make my mistake. The greatest surgery you will ever perform is not on someone else. It is on the life you are living right now. And unlike the brain, the heart, when treated with care and attention, can still heal, even now, even at the very last moment. Go.